Greetings everybody, and welcome back to the landscape. A little while ago, Simon Baxter, who is a prolific woodland photographer, gave a semi interview seminar with Datacolor, where he talked about his love of woodland and photographing trees. And there was a particular statement that he used, which was, when photographing a tree, work out what is it about that tree that gives it character and fill your frame with that character. And as I've been walking around where I am today, I've kind of had that phrase rolling around in my head. And you can see my character just over here. A tree with spring leaf on it, so it's that lovely lime, fresh green. It's not the dark greens of summer. It's just inherently more appealing. In this light right now, we've got clouds up above us. The scene is relatively subdued and relatively quiet. But when the sun comes out, the life in that tree really jumps forward. I nearly said springs forward, but I stopped myself. But it really jumps out. And the way that the light interacts with the branches and the tree trunk, you can see the fresh colour that's on the trunk. Again, a bit like the leaves, it's warm and it's appealing, even though, we must be sort of midday-ish. So the sun's probably at its highest, but it doesn't look that way. And as I walked down this path, the way that the tree, the way that the light interacts with the tree, and the tree itself sort of reaching out into the sky, just so full of life and vibrant energy, it just jumped out. And that phrase that Simon used just clicked in my head, and I thought, right, okay, having heard that phrase and having thought, do you know what, that's an interesting thing to do, I'm going to have a go at it. And I have found it to be a lot more challenging than I thought it would be. I thought it would be pretty much child's play to frame up that tree, wait for the sun to come out and boom. But all of those compositional decisions that we would normally make with our considered photographs, they still need to be part of this conversation. Otherwise, they take something away from the character of the tree, what it is that I'm trying to say with my image. Now, what I'm going to do in a second is I'm going to move the video camera to sort of here and then point out various aspects that I've had to consider when framing up this composition. Light levels are starting to pick up. I think the sun might just peek out from a cloud and light up the scene, which means I might grab it. The camera is all framed up and ready, but is it going to do it or not? I'm just going to risk it. Let's come and get you. So unusually for me, I'm going to move into the scene. So we have our tree. It's very obvious, isn't it? It's right there. And I've chosen an angle and a composition that captures all of these branches reaching out and up into the sky. I've gone for a portrait frame in order to maximize the amount of branch that I can actually capture. I've been a bit careful though, because I don't want to get bright sky up above. I want to just contain the tree, although I have got a dark corner up in the top right hand edge. That's fine, that just contains the scene. Behind this tree are some fir trees. You can see them here. Now ordinarily I really wouldn't want them to be there, but here I've actually used them to act as bookends, to actually contain this edge of the frame and stop the eye from wanting to go too far that way. There's a secondary branch, I'm just thinking what decisions have I made, that actually goes off out to the left. Now there is a danger with that it leads the eye out of the frame. Also there's a fence here as well. So I've deliberately excluded all of that because I think that actually takes something away from the notion that I'm trying to communicate, the idea that I've got in my head. The one big area that I've struggled with is all of this, these very pale coloured rocks. When the sun does come out, these rocks are really, really bright. So much so that I think they actually pull the eye away from the tree and down into this corner. And I don't want that to happen. Now, the way that the light is interacting with the tree and the surroundings is such that I think it would be impossible for me to wait for a patch of shade to chase a patch of sunlight and have this in shade and that brightly lit. I just don't think I'm going to get that. So what I've done is I've put a graduated grey filter down in this corner, which is quite unusual to do when just photographing a tree. But what that's done is it just dulls the impact of these rocks to the point where they don't interfere with the tree. The use of a grey grad on this area is actually a little bit dangerous because there are occasions when the sunlight is quite dappled, and I think there is a danger that I'm just going to completely wipe out that sort of atmosphere on this portion of the scene. But I think it's a trade-off. I think to try and darken it in software would look obvious, or maybe too obvious, whereas actually darkening it slightly out here behind the camera and then treating it maybe a little bit more in software, for me anyway, just gives me the confidence that when I get this image into Lightroom or Photoshop or whatever, I can actually control this area such that the tension stays on my main subject, which is this tree. Now, the other impact of using a grey grad is it actually intrudes into the area underneath the tree. So again, I'm going to need to do something about that in post-processing, maybe do a selection and just lift it a little bit. But again, I think that's a credible trade-off alongside being able to control this piece. And, you know, great, the sun has just come out, so hopefully you can now appreciate why I'm concentrating on this tree and why it's just so appealing. It really is lovely. What a fantastic tree. In fact, I'm looking up into that deep blue sky. I've got a lovely contrast between the blue sky and the leaves up above. So much so I might even have to do that. But that, as quickly as it came, it's gone. So that's the sort of the thought processes that I've had as I've composed this tree, but with that phrase from Simon rattling around in my head. What is it about the tree that gives it character to you, and fill the frame with that character? If this image works, I shall show it to you right now. So I'm going to wait here a little bit longer just to see what other aspects of the, as the sun comes in and out, capture a series of frames, and then have the maximum number of options to work with when I get home. I'm very conscious that the content of my channel very much looks at composition, and sometimes I worry about it, sometimes I don't. The one thing I would bear in mind for all of you doubters out there is that composition comes from us. Where we point the camera, what is it that we put in the frame? There's no gadget or software that does that for you, not yet anyway. So what you put in the frame is entirely up to you. All the other aspects of photography, exposure and focus and blah, 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 you've got all sorts of whizzo gadgets that'll help you with that. There is nothing to help you with composition. And I think composition is one of those skills, disciplines, or however you want to frame it, however you want to frame it, that can turn something ordinary into something compelling. So perhaps something to think about. But yeah, if you're ever in woodland or near some trees, think about that phrase from Simon and actually give it a go yourself. It is a lot more challenging. Well, I've certainly found it a lot more challenging than I thought it would be. Right, I'm going to wrap this video up and move on once I've waited for the light a little bit. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful. If you like landscape photography and you're not already a subscriber, please do consider subscribing. It's free and you can unsubscribe at any time. If you've liked this video, please give it a thumbs up on YouTube. It is greatly appreciated. Right, so until we're next back out in the landscape, hopefully on a day like today where it's lovely and warm and pleasant, maybe with a bit more mood going on, but anyway, it's very, 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 very pleasant to be out and about. But until the next time, everybody, take care, stay safe and stay well, and I shall see you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.